Back in 2016, Royal Enfield introduced the new Himalayan. Well, at the time, the motorcycle was the entry-level adventure tourer you could get in India, and that meant it was a new chapter, a new legacy for the company. In fact, Royal Enfield has built its product range on legacies. For a company that has been in production since 1901, this meant that a brand new nameplate and a brand new legacy of its own. So, for a motorcycle that has been on sale for 7 years and quite popular at it, there's a lot of pressure on the new Himalayan to prove itself. Not only does it want to build on the Himalayan success in terms of utility, in terms of capability, it also needs to be more contemporary and a lot more tech focused. Can the new Himalayan, not a 452, not a 450, this is just the Himalayan because it now replaces the older one. So can it actually live up to expectations and then exceed some? Hello and welcome to HT Auto. My name is Samir Contractor and let's get riding. Out with the old, in with the new. The new Himalayan 450 is all set to take over with a new platform. The design is evolutionary, but Royal Enfield says that no part has been carried over from the older model. The styling makes it instantly recognizable but also larger than its predecessor. The industrial design has been replaced by the fancier bulbous fuel tank and slim exhaust. The lines inspired by Dakar motorcycles aren't hard to miss either, and it begs you to question if the brand has any plans to enter the world's toughest rally. The Adventure Tourer gets an LED headlamp with the DRL, while the fuel tank guards have been repurposed to hold soft luggage panniers instead of jerry cans. The blacked out liquid cooled engine stands out with the exposed twin spar frame with new railings around the tail section. The new Himalayan also gets redesigned brake lights with the indicators incorporating the brake lamp as well. A center tail light has been skipped entirely to make the tail section more off-road friendly. So the ergos have changed on the new Himalayan. The big change that you see, of course, is the wider fuel tank. That's because the airbox is now placed here. The inlet for the air is somewhere here. So you have a higher water weighting capacity. At the same time, the fuel tank has now moved down. That's a 17-liter fuel tank with a range of about 450 kilometers and allows for a lower center of gravity. The big change that it makes is that this section is now slimmer. So better thigh grip. Let me just get over the bike and show you that. And even when you're standing, the bike is actually quite nice to grip on because of the slimmer section here. And if you're a shorter rider or a, say under 5'8", the slim section allows you to easily tiptoe on the bike. I'm 6'2", so the stock seat height of 825 millimeters actually works rather well for me. I can move this up to 845 millimeters and I get an accessory to shorter seat height at 805 millimeters. That's a separate seat altogether. This one is adjustable for 825 and 845. Overall, the ergos work well. Even the handlebar is slightly closer to you, so sits rather well compared to the older motorcycle. I think that was a little higher. This one is just right in terms of positioning, and even the center foot pegs work rather well. So even when you're standing on a motorcycle, the pegs are wide enough to do that, and overall, it's a very comfortable position to be in. In fact, compared to the last Himalayan, the seat itself, the seat design itself is far more contoured. You have more space now because it's a longer wheelbase. So you have more space now in terms of moving and finding that right posture. I haven't had a pillion on this, but that's something I'll check out when I have the bike for a longer period. Apart from that, the one thing I would like to talk about is the weight on the motorcycle. Now, overall, the motorcycle has lost about 3 kilograms of weight. It's now 196 kg. And I do think that it could have lost a little more to make it a little more nimble as a motorcycle, because at 196, it does feel heavy. Impressively, not when you're riding, but if you're in a parking spot, trying to get the bike, maneuver the bike there, or even when you're trying to take a U-turn, that's when you really feel that weight. The build quality has seen a notable upgrade. The shut lines and paint finish have significantly improved, while the welds are neatly done as well. There's still room for improvement though, especially with quality checks.
Our test bike on this shoot had a black rear wheel instead of a gold finished one, a small yet noteworthy oversight. But the big update is the new tech on the Himalayan 450. The motorcycle now gets a 4-inch TFT digital console, a first for the brand, and this in-house developed unit incorporates a host of features including multiple display layouts, music functionality, turn-by-turn navigation powered by Google Maps, along with call and SMS alerts, all of which can be controlled via the Royal Enfield mobile app. The unit is easy to read and to use, especially with the dedicated mode and home buttons, as well as a new joystick. The unit is easy to navigate across the screen but isn't the most tactile. The anti glare glass on the TFT screen is certainly helpful and makes it easy to read under bright sunlight. Considering the screen acts as a casting device, it is possible to bring OTA updates in the future.
The new Himalayan is based on a new twins power frame that uses the engine as a stressed member. Now this is a Sherpa 450. It's a new single cylinder liquid cooled engine. That's a first for Royal Enfield. It also gets a forged piston and a high compression ratio. That means better cooling and more power. In fact, it makes about 39 brake horsepower, 40 Newton meters of peak torque. Both are substantially higher numbers than the older Himalayan, and that shows because it is immediately responsive. In fact, at lower altitudes, we were riding yesterday and today, the bike is quick, it's refined, and extremely impressive in the way it goes. But as we were climbing altitudes, we also realized that there is a certain lag in power, as it happens to be, but it actually contains that lag really well. Low end tractability in the mountains could have been better. I think the one thing that I really noticed is that when you're getting out of corners, especially at these twisties around that we have here, say you're in the third gear, you want to get out of corner, you gun the throttle, but there's not enough response. You have to wait until up over 3000 RPM for the power to really kick in, which means you have to downshift. However, Royal Enfield says that we are using about only 60% of the power, so about 28 bhp at higher altitudes, and we should get all 39 horses once we are at sea level. So that's something I'm really excited to check out, and that's supposed to be a separate video, I'm sure, to see how it performs at sea level. In fact, how the engine heating also happens at sea level is something that I'm very eager to understand. But in the mountains, the engine is very responsive. It's not as tractable as what I would liked, but it's actually quite refined and very impressive, very quick as well. On the flatter sections that we got, we were really gunning it, triple digit speeds, coming easily. The bike really holds them really well, and this is by far the most refined engine we've had from Royal Enfield.
High-speed stability is impressive on the Himalayan, and you can easily cruise at 120 km per hour in 6th gear. The rumble from the exhaust is only now stronger, and the motor likes to be revved up to nearly 9000 RPM. About 90% of the torque is available from 3000 RPM. Keep it in the power band and the engine is responsive and eager to leap ahead, irrespective of the terrain.
But the very impressive part of this motorcycle is its suspension. It's a massive upgrade. Showa USD 43mm forks at the front, a horizontally mounted and a higher mounted monoshock at the rear. That's 7-step adjustable. This is still non-adjustable. I do wish it had adjustability, but even in its current setup, it does flawlessly well. In fact, on the off-road sections, the bike is absolutely sublime. We've been going through boulders, we've been going through rocks, some very bad gravel patches, and the bike is just in its element. Even for somebody who's a novice or somebody who's just getting into off-roading, I think this is a bike that makes you more confident than you should be. And I don't mean it in a bad way, because the bike on its own does a lot of work for you. The front is extremely pliant. You could just go over bad sections flat out without a worry. We were doing about 70-75 kilometers per hour on the flat sections with the gravel, with the boulders, and the bike was extremely composed. 200 millimeters travel at either end, and that really helps because you are extremely composed. At the same time, the ride quality is very flat.
This Royal Enfield likes to bounce. It's more agile than nimble, with a 45mm longer wheelbase than its predecessor. While that improves stability, it does marginally cost handling. The suspension setup, despite the long travel, does not feel spongy, and is rather well balanced. The bike feels composed if not too aggressive around a corner, and managing all that weight gets rather easy. A slightly lower curb weight though would have made it more nimble. The ride quality is impressive on the tarmac and most undulations do not make it to the rider. The seat is well cushioned with some room to spare for a comfortable experience. Braking performance is progressively good on the new Himalayan. The front brake lever isn't the sharpest in bite, but has enough feedback to keep you confident on the off road sections. However, under panic braking, it takes a while before the bike comes to a halt. The rear brake, on the other hand, locks rather quickly than we would have liked, even with the ABS on. The C8 tires co developed with Royal Enfield do a decent job on the motorcycle. India will get the tube tires first, with the tubeless tires a few months away from launch. Just the peace of mind many riders would be looking for.
I'll admit, I'm very impressed with the new Himalayan more than I thought I will be. Now, what it really does is takes all the good things from the older Himalayan, the character, the ethos, and even the utilitarian bit of it, and then just builds on it in a brand new fashion. This motorcycle will actually appeal to all kinds of riders. You could be a new rider wanting to go off-roading, touring, and understand the skills without getting bored in terms of power, and it really fits in there really well because the motorcycle does so much for you. It actually makes you quite confident. At the same time, if you're an experienced rider looking for a no nonsense motorcycle, this is just fantastic. Not too many electronics, just the basics. That digital console is fantastic, gets you all the information you want. There's dual channel ABS, the suspension works really fine, but you do not get a lot of gizmos, and I think I quite like that about the motorcycle because at the end of the day, what you really want to do is actually ride the motorcycle, not play around with gadgets, right? And in that sense, the Himalayan delivers. And how?
The new Himalayan marks the start of a new platform that will spawn more motorcycles in the future. We now know that the adventure tourer isn't restricted to an ICE powertrain, but an electrified version is also in the works. It now boils down to the pricing on the new Himalayan 450. The current motorcycle is priced between 2,15,000 and 2,28,000 rupees ex showroom, and the new version is expected to receive a substantial hike given the extensive updates. We hope prices still remain accessible since Royal Enfield wants to capture the younger riders with this one. Go on, take a test ride. It might just urge you to explore new terrains, and that's its new legacy.
We've had a ball with the new Himalayan in the Himalayas, and now the next experience that I want to have with this bike is at sea level. Does it really live up to those expectations we talked about? We'll find out. And if you like the new Himalayan, let us know in the comment section below. And if you like this video, do drop a like and of course share and subscribe. My name is Samir Contractor. This is HT Auto. Please wear your helmets, your seat belts, and thank you for watching.